頼んだぞ。
Alright, so it's finally time I covered this, because this is long overdue, and I already had him for like a couple of weeks, so now we're gonna look at Demi-fiend from Shin Megami Tensei III Nocturne. Because I already reviewed Raito Kuzunoha, and if you paid attention to that video, he does meet Demi-fiend in the PlayStation 2 Maniac's Chronicle version of Nocturne, and also the HD remaster which came out a couple years ago. So, okay, so who is Demi-fiend? Well, Demi-fiend is the main character of Shin Megami Tensei III Nocturne for PS2 and the HD version, so whatever. So he was originally just some kid who went to go to the hospital to meet his teacher with his two friends, and then he ends up they try to look for the teacher because, you know, the hospital's empty and abandoned, and they're wondering what the hell's going on. He ends up like seeing the teacher on the roof after he was looking through the basement and found some creepy looking dude. And the teacher tells him, "Oh yeah, me and that creepy dude in the suit are starting a fucking conception," and the conception is basically like the entire world, or at least Tokyo, gets completely fucking recreated and destroyed in this fucking giant void, and it becomes the vortex world, and it basically becomes like this inverted sphere where everything's like trapped inside of a ball. So Tokyo becomes a post-apocalyptic wasteland, and like he's just trapped in this new world, and he wakes up after meeting a mysterious child and an old lady, and he wakes up. He has demon powers after being fed the symbiotic Magatama, and now he has demon powers, and he has cool tattoos. So now he's a demon man, or the Demi-fiend, or Hitoshura, which means like half Asura or half demon man. And now he's stuck in the wasteland, post-apocalyptic wasteland, and has to survive on his own, or, you know, use demons to help him out, which is basically required for the game. So Kazuma Kaneko, the original character designer for Demi-fiend and most of the demons in Shin Megami Tensei, I believe he said that Demi-fiend's design was based on like Red Hot Chili Peppers and like walking around in the desert naked, and also wanted to evoke the idea of a shaman. So he's full of all these like crazy looking lines and marks on his body with the tattoos, and you know, he's not wearing a shirt because apparently when you get demon powers you completely lose your fucking t-shirt, and you gain all these cool tattoos and eyeballs. So yeah, so that's what Demi-fiend is. And of course he's appeared in other games, like he's in Shin Megami Tensei IV Apocalypse in the DLC, which you can no longer buy. He helps you out against Stefan. He's also in Shin Megami Tensei V and Vengeance as a special boss that you can fight. He's like the hardest boss in the game. And then most infamously he's in Shin Megami Tensei Digital Devil Saga, the first one, where like he's the hardest boss in the entire fucking game, and is apparently also known as one of the hardest RPG bosses ever. I don't know, I haven't played Digital Devil Saga yet. I have the game on PS2, but I just haven't gone around to it. So now that you know a bit more about Demi-fiend, let's actually talk about the figure. Okay, so height-wise, I think Demi-fiend looks about like 5 1/8 or 5 1/10 inches tall, and that makes him about, I want to say, almost 15 centimeters, somewhere around like 14 and a half, or it's hard to tell from this angle. So he's a bit shorter. Here's a picture of him standing next to Raito Kuzunoha from Figma, because, you know, they're both Figma, and Raito is a lot taller than Demi-fiend. And for another comparison, here is the Lanya 1.2 DX, which by the time you're watching this, I already reviewed. And I know she's a model kit, and these are like 1/10 scale, not 1/12, but he's kind of short. He's a short guy. Okay, so it's gonna be really fucking hard to film this guy because of his color scheme, because either his skin is too bright, like when I show the dark parts, or it's too, or the pants are too dark, because they're a dark color when I show the light skin, so you're gonna have to bear with me. So, looking at Kazuma Kaneko's artwork and comparing it to the new Figma, I actually think they did a pretty great job capturing the likeness of Demi-fiend's face. Like, you'll see a comparison. Yeah, it doesn't really match the way he looks in-game, and I always thought the way he looked in-game was kind of weird, especially because his eyes aren't even yellow. He's supposed to have yellow eyes when he's in his demonic form, and then like normal colored eyes when he's like in his human form, like pre-transformation. So, yeah, I think it's kind of weird. But like in later iterations, they give him the yellow eyes. So here, they actually gave him these really nice glowing yellow eyes, and I think they look very spot on. And in real life, like, they have a nice glow to them. Like, they're not actually glowing, but like they have a nice bright yellow color. And it's a bit hard to see here because everything looks really faded, but trust me, it looks really good. As for the lines on his face, they actually got it right. Like, you can see from this angle, like if you want to recreate like the box art from the PS2 version, yeah, it looks pretty close. You can get the angle and everything. The hair is pretty clean. It's a bit hard to see due to the coloring, but they actually got the details. The only thing I don't like is that I think because you have to push the face in a bit more, there's a potential tiny gap there if you don't push it all the way. So you can sometimes see like in between the hairline, but here it looks fine. They got the sculpting on it is really good because it actually matches like the line work and the shading that Kaneko would do on his artwork, and it actually connects, even though this looks kind of weird. He has like this hair, and then like this hair doesn't really match like the sculpting on it, but I think color-wise it fits. It just looks like he shaved part of his head and then like the rest of it is not shaved. The back is very plain, but it has like the little pointy parts of his neck. See, I told you it's gonna be hard to film that. You can see like the pointy parts like on the back of his like hair, and then on the back you can actually see the Magatama sticking out of on the back of his neck. He always has that spike in the back of his neck, regardless. And they even made sure that they put the paint lines underneath his chin so that it can more seamlessly connect paint-wise with the neck, because it's supposed to go from his neck to the bottom of his chin up to his face. It connects from here to there and then goes down. So they actually got that right. The ears look fine, they don't look weird or messy. They even gave him the signature black lips that Kaneko always draws with his characters. And when I think during the Raito video I commented that his lips weren't dark enough. Like, it was like a darker shade of his skin color, but not like a black line. Here it's a black line, so it actually looks right. And the shape of the lips actually look fine because the shadowing from the light actually creates the natural like shading right here. Same thing with the nose. The nose and everything sculpted so that it can actually create that effect of the shading that Kaneko would have on his artwork. So it actually catches his face catches the light pretty well. And as for the lines, like for the green, I think it's not bright enough. Like, it's supposed to be like not a neon green, but it's supposed to be like sort of neon, like a really bright green. And in the artwork, it's like more greenish. This is more like a bluish green. So I'm not really sure why they went for that. Especially in the camera, it looks like bluish, almost like a Hatsune Miku, like teal blue color. So I'm not sure what's going on there. The black is fine. Like, it's not supposed to be pitch black because in the artwork, it kind of depends on the source of the image, but it's either black or like purplish black because of like the printing of the image or whatever. But yeah, so far I think it's fine, like on the head and everything. As for the neck, there's a couple of issues. It doesn't connect properly to this part, and I'm assuming that's because it's supposed to keep going when you move the neck, which we'll talk about in articulation, but yeah. It does connect, it does look correct on the front, but the other minor issue is they did not have the paint continue on the inside, so you see like the skin petering out right there. You see right there on the right here? See, it connects to the neck, but you can still see that they didn't paint the inside, so it kind of cuts off right there. So it doesn't give the illusion off really well. Like here you can see it because of the shadows, but without the shadows, look, it doesn't connect properly. So it looks a bit odd. The other thing is that they didn't paint the lines that connect here to the shoulder joints, or the butterfly joint. So I know like they didn't do that because this thing has to move, so it'll get misaligned so easily, but they just didn't bother to do it. It's like, why? And also you can see the seam line of the two parts of the back and the torso connecting, so it's like you could have just painted this. Like, yeah, it would disconnect, but you could figure a way out. You could have figured that out. So I think that's kind of a problem. The chest looks fine, but to me he looks like he has a really small chest. Like, I feel like his shoulders should be a bit more broad. Like they do stick out, like they're all the way over here, not like scrunched up here, but I feel like his chest looks not broad enough. It's like squeezed in a little bit. And also, you can see right here, due to the way that they did the torso, the way to get this pattern to line up properly is that you have to lean him back. And I'm assuming this is the neutral position they want him to be in, but this is supposed to be the neutral position, so it just cuts off the pattern and doesn't look right. And I get that, like, since he's painted all over the place with different lines, everything's gonna eventually get misaligned when you pose him around. But, like, what the hell is this? See, like, it's kind of hard to line it up. And also, mine has, like, a weird smudge right here. And I tried to check if that was a smudge or if that was, like, a mistake, and I think that's a minor mistake. And speaking of small mistakes, I think the paint rubs off on the back of his neck because of the black part right here. So that actually is kind of annoying because you don't want paint you don't want the wrong paint to be on your figure. So that happens. And it also happens on this side too, but not as much. So I think that's a little annoying. You can kind of see it right there, there's a little black. Also, you can notice it right here on the sides. Like, look, this got fucked up. I don't know if that was already like that when I got it, or if that just happened. So I'm gonna have to like paint black, like with a marker or something, just put that on there. And also, look, they didn't continue the black line on this part right here underneath like the shoulder. Like, yeah, you probably won't look at it from this side, but like the fact that if I turn him like this, you can see it. And also, on the seam line, look, they didn't even paint that. Like, what the hell happened here? It's almost like the seam line is misaligned. Look, it is misaligned. Look, it's not connected properly right here. What the hell is this? And then over here, you can see that it's not painted in this part, like on the little underneath part. Like, it should just be all black here to connect it properly. And I'm trying to see if that's also a paint mistake or a smidge. I think that might be a paint issue. Because look, they painted the inside here so that, you know, it continues the black pattern, but then here they didn't. You can clearly see that they didn't. So I'm not sure what the hell is going on. And the arms, they look a little weird. They have a problem staying all the way up. Like, this one is more high up than this one. You can kind of see it. And I've tried so hard to get this one to go up, and it just doesn't. They did get the arm pattern correct. And yeah, it looks weird because it gets cut off because of the elbow joint. So it does look, oh, come on, I told you so hard to film this guy. So you can see it. So it has this little thing, the arms wrap around, it connects the pattern here, and then it connects to the hands like perfectly fine. Like, yeah, they didn't paint it on the joints because, you know, the joints would get misaligned, but I still think they should have tried. So that, like, the vertical hinge or whatever, I think that's the reason, because like, since you would be able to use it as a vertical and a horizontal hinge, there would be no right way to like put the pattern, since you could put the hands in whatever position you want. So yeah, I guess the compromise was just not painting it. But the other weird thing is that they didn't paint the pattern on his wrist that's supposed to connect to the hand. And I'm assuming it's for the same reason, like as the joint, where like if they painted it here, but then you move the hand, then it doesn't connect to the pattern properly, because, you know, the pattern would move with his skin, like in real life or in the game, so it doesn't do that, so, you know, it doesn't... they just didn't paint it, because now his forearm is completely pale, which is weird. They did do the pattern on his stomach area really well. You can see like the black lines are painted and they actually keep going to try and give the illusion that it connects to this part, although I feel like that doesn't look right. I'm not sure. It's supposed to be this and then connect, but it just looks misaligned. Like, they should have taken this into account like when they were putting the torso on and then like did the pattern, but whatever. The stomach pattern is fine. I don't know how far it goes, but there it is. Oh, now it looks better. Yeah, you can see they even kept like the pattern here, and it's supposed to cut off. Because in-game you can't see the full pattern of his body because of his pants. So this is about as far as they get. It looks really good. And it does connect to this pattern right here on the back. So it actually does a pretty good job. And even though they had to put the hole here for the figure stand, it's not that bad. And even if you lean him forward, the pattern does continue, so that's nice. And even if you lean side to side, you can still see the patterns. The lines are still there. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that they kept it going regardless. Also, I loved what they did with the hands. The hands actually have the full line work and everything on the palms and on the fingers and the thumb. And if you leave it like aligned like this, you can see that it's supposed to connect to the individual digits. So I think that's pretty cool. Even his knuckles are fully painted. So they did a great job. The pants are like this grayish black. God, that is, you can't even fucking see that. Like a grayish black, and he's supposed to wear like really fucking tight pants. So they actually got the zip, so they painted the zipper, molded the lines for his pockets, put the little strap here for his buttons. He has no back pockets, I guess. They're completely straight. Some other problems I have besides the paint like not being perfect on some areas and also like bleeding into the skin. Just three things. One, the shoulders. The shoulders look really weird, and they just kind of have this weird gap. Like, I feel like there should be a little bit more shoulder here, so it kind of, you know, goes over this gap. Because typically shoulders are way high up like this. Like, you can kind of make it go up, but then if you keep it straight, it just kind of goes all the way down. And then this one just doesn't go all the way up like the way this one does. So it's kind of weird. And I mentioned like it just doesn't do that. Also, his arms are kind of long. Like, are humans' legs supposed to go all the way that far? Aren't they supposed to be around here? Like, either he has like the world's longest arms, or I don't know. They look a bit off. Like, I'm not sure. Like, I didn't really notice it until now, but like, wow, he has long arms. Not sure what's going on there. Another thing is that, you know, we'll talk about it now before I talk about the pants. These joints, they're completely black, like grayish black, because they're supposed to be semi-related to this and to his pants. But you can clearly see here, the pattern matches his skin. But it also kind of matches this because the black pattern keeps going. So it's like, I guess they didn't have a choice and they just made it black because it's closer to the pants. So that's weird. Okay, so the other weird thing is that his arms can't be completely straight. And I have tried. His forearms, for some reason, go at an angle. And look, I've tried to straighten his arms out so that he can have them in a neutral position, and no, they just curve. Like, they're going like this. They go like this. Not sure why. Look. you can see it. The arms are just curved for some reason. I don't get that. Like, you can push them back, but then it looks kind of odd. And then because they don't go all the way up, you get like this gap in the shoulder. So I think that looks strange. Like, why don't his arms go all the way straight? Like, it's really odd. And then it kind of makes his profile on the back look kind of weird. Because you can see his arms are just kind of weird looking. But he looks fine, I guess, with the pattern and everything. Like, I don't know if they used a blank body and then just kind of applied the pattern and skin and everything to it. So I don't know. Also, the other thing is that, like, he doesn't have enough detail, I think, on the skin, not on the paint. The paint is fine, but like, he should have more shading here, maybe a little bit more shading on the nose, even though it looks kind of fine. And like, he's supposed to have a little bit slightly more refined muscle, because like in Kazuma Kaneko's artwork, you can still see like shading on like his forearms, like the back of his arms, like, the elbows and everything. Like, they just didn't bother to do that. They just gave you this basic like these basic pecs, kind of gave you some molding right here on the pecs or on the abs. You can barely see it, and it's probably because the pattern is so strong, so it's kind of hard to see. Also, he's like glossy. Not sure if he's supposed to be glossy like in game, but I always remember him not being glossy. So like, it was always a flat black in the game, but in the artwork it always has like some kind of sheen to it, so I don't know what's going on. So his pants, yeah, they're completely tight pants. He wears like the world's tightest pants. And they're like a grayish black. So they actually painted and molded the zipper, which I'm kind of impressed by. And there's separation here, so you can see like the things for his pockets. They actually have the little strap here in the middle for his buttons, so you can, you know, put his pants. And then here they have a set. So what I thought was that I thought they did it like Bandai, where this is like a separate, like this is like the same part of the leg and then this part is connected, but no, this is just a cap. Like, it's just a floating piece. Like, you can see it's just a floating piece. Like, this part can just move. This one not so much because it's tight, more secured. But because this one's not as secured, it creates this weird gap. You see, like, this one's more like tight and this one has a gap. So I don't know what's up with that. See, it just kind of makes the leg look like it's sticking out. I don't like that. But the pants, it's weird because like he has like wrinkles here on his pants, but then no wrinkles here. Like, even on the back he has it on his butt, but he doesn't have it anywhere else. And I'll double check the artwork to see if he's supposed to have the wrinkles, because I don't have the image in front of me. But they should at least be a little bit more like in this area, I think, because it's closer to the crotch. And then the rest of it can be smooth. And then the pattern continues from his knees all the way down to the bottom of his legs. So I mentioned already, like, it looks weird on the back, but just ignore it. Also, he has thick legs. Like, damn, he got some nice thick legs. And then his calves are huge. Looks like he has huge calves. Not sure why. Like, Raito was so skinny, and then this dude is like more built, like slightly more built. But yeah, the pattern continues. It's supposed to go like up to like the back of his leg and everything. And then the pants would go up to here and cut it off, so yeah, I don't know what they're doing. But he got some kind of big legs. And of course the pattern continues all the way to the bottom, but the weird thing is that the top part of his shoe is a floating piece. And you can see how it directly connects to the ball joint where the shoe is. But because of that, like, it's kind of hard to hide that gap. So it makes it really obvious that like his foot is connected to something, instead of trying to make it look a little bit more seamless. It's like kind of weird. Also, this thing's a floating piece and it moves. You can kind of like not dislocate, but you can kind of like misalign it. The shoe detail is actually really good. You can see he has like the black stripe, the black strap or stripe or whatever that is right there on both sides of his shoes. You can see that. And it's like a grayish black, like I mentioned. The front also has like the darker shade of black. And it's not glossy, but it's like satin or matte. So I don't like how they did the laces. The laces are completely plain, like white paint. and there's no shading or anything on it, so it's just like this glob of white. So it looks kind of strange. They even have like the top part of his shoe like completely blue. It has a little line right there in here to like give it more detail. And if I remember correctly, these are supposed to be the socks or the back of his shoe. I'm not sure. I don't know if he's wearing low tops or high tops. I have to check. And they even put like the blue trim like on the bottom part of his shoe. And this part's also black. It's kind of hard to see, but you can see that there's black here on the back of his shoe. And they even bothered to sculpt and paint the bottom of his sneakers. It's like the little, not cleats, but like the little things on the bottom of his shoe for more resistance, and even on the front. And they actually curve up, which is both good and bad because that means he doesn't have completely flat feet. It's partially flat because of this part, but not here. So it's going to create some balancing issues. Okay, so overall, his aesthetic, it's kind of hard to judge because it's like, the paint is good, but the paint's also missing in some areas, or it's also like fucked up in some areas. And it's also like, his body proportions are a little weird, but like, when I look at him, I see Demi-fiend, and I don't see like a fake Demi-fiend or like a bad cosplay, or just like a knockoff. Like, this looks like the character. So, especially with the face, so I'm gonna just give it some points for the face, especially for the face, because they got the eyebrows right, the hair's right, eyes, like even with the little eyelashes and everything, like they got it right. But those arms look kind of weird, and his arms are kind of long, and his shoulders are kind of weird. But everything else, like from the waist down, I think looks perfectly fine, even with the weird thing on the joints. So let me see, what's a good score for him? I'm gonna say, because there's a lot of paint on him, so I'm gonna say like 8.5, because it's not perfect. Like, the face is great, but it's missing certain details, like on the forearms, like I mentioned. The shoulders don't have the lines that connect. There's some mispaint or like paint rubbing off on certain parts. And this stomach part just doesn't look right when he's leaning forward, so, and it's supposed to be the default position. So it's like, you kind of get everything you need, but you also get some weird mistakes. So, okay, 8.5. Okay, now let's try and do articulation. Okay, so for articulation, it's actually pretty good, because I was already messing around with him, but now I can give you a proper analysis on it. So his head can go all the way that's not a lot. He can look down with just the head like this, and then with the neck you can look all the way down. The neck, his head is connected with the usual Figma engineering. Also, you can see the pattern still continues even to the top part of his neck, but what they did is that they gave him a ball joint neck, and it actually moves like on its own. It can move independently from the head, and it can move a little bit. And it might be because of this, or just because of the way they shaded it, but you can see more paint rubbing off on the in-between parts, which is annoying. It's just because of the hair. So it can kind of go like that. And then the head is connected the same way like most Figmas are, where it's this backward like ball jointed neck that connects to here, but like the actual peg. But then when you connect it to the neck, it hides a lot of the issues Figma typically has, where the characters have a giant gaping hole where the jaw is supposed to be. So this is kind of to try and make up for it. Like Raito had something similar, so it's supposed to be like that. And it makes it so his neck doesn't look weird. Also, you're supposed to line up his head with the Magatama spike, so that it's supposed to be in between. But anyway, so for his shoulders, here's the weird part. So his shoulders have butterfly joints, and you see you can make them stick out like this, which I guess is kind of trying to make up for the actual gap here in the shoulder. So he can do full rotation. That's fine. You can go sideways about 90 degrees, I think. Just about 90. But you can see how weird it looks due to the fact that his arms don't go completely straight. Like, it looks strange. He's doing like a really weird T-pose where he's trying to bring his arms in halfway. Like, look, you can see it. See, like, it's going inward. I don't understand that. And then you can kind of fiddle it with it to make it arms go back to neutral. So I think there's a ball peg that connects to this part, and it connects here, and it allows you, yeah, like I showed with the full rotation, and it allows you to bring the arm all the way out like this. You can even slide it inward to have it like that, and you can actually bring his arm in. But that I think the reason they gave him these curved arms is because they really want it to like, go in, across his arms. So you can make this arm go back and then do this. You can kind of go like this. So you can actually give him across, like, bring him across the chest. And this is actually good. And the funny thing is that this is better than Raito. And Raito's a dude that uses a sword. He's supposed to have that kind of range. Demi-fiend doesn't really need that kind of range because, like, you know, he doesn't use any weapons. But he kind of does, but not really. Also, can you do his iconic pose? Yes, you can. Because the forearm has its own ball joint, and you can kind of like turn it around like this. And then you can go like this. Turn this around. And it might not be doing it perfectly, but theoretically, and I have a picture of it already, you can do his signature like in-game pose, where he's like, this looks so bad, but you can cross his arms and do his trademark pose, where he has like his arms crossed together with his open hand. So you can do it, but it does look weird with these elbows. Like, what the hell is up with these elbows? Also, these arm joints I don't think are normal. Like, they use weird, like, a weird ball peg system here instead of just like 2 pegs. So I'm not going to try and pop them out because they look different from the way Figma usually does it. His wrist is the typical wrist, so it goes up and down and side to side if you know how to manipulate it. Yeah, so you can do all the normal stuff, which is fine, nothing notable there. What else is weird about his shoulders? Yeah, and also you can just bring them all the way down. Like what's up with that? I guess it looks a little bit less weird, but now they look even longer. Okay, so now we get to the more fun parts. So for his torso can go like this, like just the torso. You can lean it back all the way like this, and it kind of makes the pattern look weird. He can lean to the side like this, which is really good, both sides. Really well, and no real gapping. It's just like the pattern gets misaligned. And then going forward, he can go forward really well, but then it creates an ugly gap. So you gotta determine if you want that. But you can see the joint, like it's kind of bad looking. Okay, and now for the lower ball joint. You can lean in like that, which looks fine. I like the range here. Let me make sure this is all straight. Yeah, so that's kind of okay. Yeah. And then going all the way back, combining both. You can almost do a limbo. And then going all the way to the side, combined with this. You get this crazy lean, so you can make him do some crazy like dynamic poses. And then same thing with this side. So he has really good articulation so far. So let's see. What about the crotch? The crotch is a floating piece. It's not a super soft plastic. Like they were trying to brag and say like, oh yeah, it's really soft on the website. But you can squeeze his butt, I guess, if you want. These don't really do much for articulation, they're just kind of there to hide and for aesthetic purposes to kind of make it look more flush. Minus this weird big gap here. But let's see if it makes a big difference. So his legs actually go out to the side about this much, and if you make the floating piece go up a little bit, it's essentially a full split, like almost. I think that's pretty good. And here you can see obviously where the where everything is. Just these like two ball pegs, like double-sided ball pegs, they connect here, and then they connect to the legs. So it's actually like a standard like leg slash like thigh swivel thing, but they put this cap here to kind of just, I guess, hide the mechanism. So they actually kind of have a thigh swivel. It actually is an actual thigh swivel. So you can turn it all the way like this, which is fine. But you can't make it, but you can make it go inward pretty well. You can do that for more nuanced posing. Going back, he can actually kick a little bit back due to the soft plastic, and also because the piece does go up, but you also get this ugly thing. Like, what the hell happened here? But if you do it with the other leg, I don't think it's as ugly, because it's more like tightly connected. Yeah, see? Looks better on here. I have to figure out what's wrong with this one. So there's that. So he can kick back, and then he can kick forward. So you can get this kinda like front back split, which is kinda okay. By itself, if you pull this all the way back down, you can kick forward. Wait, that's not right. Okay, if I hold this all the way down, he can kick forward about this much, which isn't the best. But since the floating piece can go up, you can get him to do a full like 90 degrees, which looks fine, except for this bit. Yeah, you can even get him to sit all the way down. You can kind of get him to sit down, so I think that's kind of fun. What I don't like about like the floating piece moving around is that when you kick up, for example, let me see if I can get it. You can see like the ugliness right here. You can see that, look at that. You can see the gap between like the crotch area and then like the torso. So it's not super noticeable, but yeah, you'll see it. See, like here in regular lighting, like you won't really notice it, but with the naked eye you can. You can kind of see the lines like sticking out. So it's not that bad. And for the knees are single jointed, I believe. So they only go about this much, which isn't bad, but it's only like a little over 90 degrees. Like Raito, if I remember correctly, had more range. It could go a little bit more vertically. So that's alright. Not too bad. So it looks like this when you bend it all the way forward. Kind of like this. It's fine. As for the feet, the floating piece actually does make it a little annoying. So you can kind of go like this. And you can go partially forward because the floating piece is in the way. The toe hinge goes like this, which looks fine until you realize that they didn't connect the shoe. So it just splits. So it looked kind of bad. But like the way it curves actually, like this, actually looks normal. Like the way I think it would work on a shoe, but they didn't connect. They didn't add more to this, so it just looks weird. Which is a shame. And for the ankle rocker, you have to twist it, but it kind of dislocates it. So it doesn't really match the socks or whatever that is. And then like this. Just looks a bit weird. So it's not perfect, but I'm not really sure what's going on there. Okay, so articulation wise, I'm gonna say Demi-fiend. I'm gonna say articulation wise, Demi-fiend gets like a I'd say maybe a 9, because everything seems to work fine. His arms can cross all the way. Like he can bring his arms inward like, really well. And you can get him to do his signature pose. And like a Kamehameha or some other kind of like, crossed arms pose. So that is possible. What I don't like is that he doesn't have a bicep swivel, which I didn't mention. But the most you can do is kind of just turn his arms around like this, which kind of works in theory. Yeah, he doesn't have a bicep swivel, so in theory you kind of have to like turn his arm all the way around and move the elbow joint like this to kind of like bring his arms like this. So you can kind of get him to cross his arms, like the regular like folded arms, but yeah, you're not going to get the same subtlety as like actually having a bicep swivel. So that's a little unfortunate. But as long as he can do his signature pose and other like similar poses, with like energy blast pose or something, then that's fine. At least for me. But I'd rather have a bicep swivel. But I think the reason they couldn't do it was because they didn't want to break the pattern on his arms. So they would have required either cutting it up right here, which is not really typical, like they typically do it here, where the actual bicep would be. Or, I don't know, they would have needed to break up the pattern, and I guess they really didn't want to. So there you go. So yeah, I'm gonna give him a 9 for articulation, because he's actually better than Raito in some aspects. Like, Raito had a bit more crunch because he had that soft floating piece, but this is still really good, even with this ugly gap. Like, if you just hide the gap, it still looks pretty good, and he can kick like this. Yeah, he can go like this. Sorry, I kicked the camera. So he can go like this, which I don't think is completely bad. Like, this is actually a pretty good angle. But at the cost of this. Yeah, so 9 for articulation. I think he did a really good job. Figma usually lacks in articulation in some areas, like especially the arms. So even without bicep swivel, I think they did a good job. Okay, and for accessories, Demi-fiend actually comes with a decent amount. He comes with multiple hands. He comes with 3 extra pair of hands. In total, he has 4. So he comes with the 2 fist hands that he automatically has. Then he has 2 pairs of relaxed hands, clenchy hands, and then 2 grippy hands. And they all have the pattern and line work like on the gripping on all the hands. Like all the hands have like the paint and the lines like on his knuckles and his digits and everything, which I think is extremely awesome because like all of the hands have the same amount of like detail that they're supposed to. Some of them have like the line continuing from his like palm to like where his wrist would be, like on the open palm hands. So it's clear that they were trying to put that pattern there, but they just gave up halfway or something. And then like the gripping hand and the fist hand have like a shorter version of that pattern. For whatever reason, maybe to avoid paint rub, I'm not sure. He has these 2 big fireballs so that he can put his hands inside the pegs and he can hold them so he can use his Magma Axis special move. So it's like this giant fire blast that he shoots from his hands. So you can recreate that scene in a way. They're like a translucent like orange plastic and they're like fully painted and have like this cool red like orangey effect. Which kind of reminds me of like the way some toys did like Charizard's fire effect in Pokemon. And I think it looks really awesome. It has like a really cool effect to it. You can kind of see it. Also, these things are heavy. Like they're kind of heavy when you put them on his hands, and it really weighs his hands down if you're not just trying to recreate that specific pose. So be cautious. He also comes with this energy sword looking thing, which represents his deadly fury attack, where he charges up an energy beam and then slices his opponents with it, and it hits like, and if I remember correctly, it hits all enemies. So this looks really awesome. It's actually made out of 4 separate pieces. So it's this piece, this long skinny peg, and this thing. I kept thinking the entire time I was handling this that the hand pegs into this part in the middle, that slides into the middle, but it didn't fit properly, so I was like, oh, maybe I'm doing it wrong. No, it's supposed to fit here, even though it looks like it would be a handle here, so I'm kind of stupid. Also, I love the paint on it because it's kind of like a clear plastic and it has like hints of purple on it, but I think the purple should have been more like a neon purple, like more bright, because he is shooting like a beam of light, so I don't know. For alternate faces, Demi-fiend technically only comes with one extra one, and that's his gritting, like angry face. And to go with that, they actually have movable eyes, just like Raito and some of the other like snail shell figures. So you can actually move his eyes and move him in the way you want to make up for the fact that he only has like one extra face. And I guess I have to show you that now. Oh god. I hate having to do this. See, you can see his eyes can look to the side. You can look down. Or I guess go all the way up. No, it's really hard to do this on camera, to be honest. But yeah, you can basically make them look in whatever direction you want, similar to snail shell. So I think that's cool. I hate the system for having to peg it on to this white thing. But if it works, I guess. I think snail shell had an easier way where it was kind of like a screw shape. You just kind of moved it around. But yeah, you can get Demi-fiend to make a bunch of different expressions if you would like. Just, it's fiddly. And the even more fiddly thing is trying to put his other faces on. Like if you want to swap this face for the other one, watch this. So you have to slide this hair out, which is really weird. So you slide his hair out, and you see his fucked up hairline. And then you have to like pull his face down, and then in between that gap, you have to like grab his face until it like slips out. And it's much easier to do if you don't have his head connected to the neck. So you kind of wiggle that out, and then you can connect the face to the holes right there. Can you even see them? Yeah, see those holes right there? Yeah, you connect it like that, and then you go like this. You have to slide it up to hide that gap. Then it snaps in place. Then you do this, and there you go. And now Demi-fiend's eyes are all fucked up because I don't know whether he's cross-eyed now. So the hard part is that like there's like an iron grip on these fucking faces. Like on this one especially, like I don't know what the hell is going on. Like, it's so hard to take the face off. I feel like now it's gotten easier because I've done it like a bunch of times. It makes it really annoying to take pictures because I want to change his face, but like, look at this. Look, it's like fighting me. It doesn't want me to take the face off. Like, damn, like just take the damn face off. Come on. Come on. I'm leaving this part in. Because I need to show you how difficult this is. Oh my god, finally. Okay, so he also comes with this little candle thing, aka the candelabrum or candelabra, and the candelabra or the menorah, because they changed the name in the translation to menorah, which I believe was the original. It's this Jewish looking candle. Gripping it is very difficult because it doesn't, this part doesn't come off, which I thought it did. No, it's just all like one thing. So you kind of have to like force his gripping hand into it so then he can grab it properly. Also, he has one additional face, and this is the Goodsmile exclusive bonus face, so you have to order it from the website to get this face, which I think sucks because you shouldn't be locking content behind that. But you get these closed eyes face, so you can kind of give him different expressions. You can make it look like he's powering up one of his moves. The Freikugel. The Freikugel is like where he shoots like some energy beam shit from his eyeballs. He closes his eyes first and then like opens them and then just shoots it out of his face. So yeah, and it looks super clean, and they don't even have the eyeball things in there because there's no eyes obviously. So yeah, I think that's cool, but just like Raito, I don't like that it's tied to like an exclusive on the website. Like it's a fucking toy, like just let people have all the stuff. It's so lame. I don't like that practice. It's almost like DLC, but like DLC is almost as bad. But anyway. taking his hands off is fairly simple. All you gotta do is just go like that. And now we'll add his clenchy hand. And I'll add the magma axis, which I'm pretty sure is the correct one. You can see there's little holes there. You essentially peg them into the hand. If I can fucking do it right. And there you go. Now he can hold the fire. It looks pretty cool. Yeah, so you basically keep it like that, but if you leave his arm straight, it starts to weigh it down because it's heavy. So there you go, be careful with that. Alright, to connect the sword thing for Deadly Fury, you put the gripping hand and then you just kind of slide it in like this. And they actually made sure to not put paint on the middle part of the hand where the grip would go because, you know, you could easily rub the paint off. That's about as far as I think you can push it. So now he can hold this big sword, or he can pose it so that it's like behind him like a traditional sword. I'm trying to... You can do it kind of like this. Because he does have a specific pose that he does in-game, where he uses both his hands to hold the sword, and then like slashes at the opponent. So you can actually kind of recreate that pose. I'll post a picture of it. You can recreate the pose perfectly fine. Okay, to put the candle through his hand, it's actually really fucking tedious. So you have to kind of like squeeze it in like this, and just kind of hope for the best. Because it doesn't slide in traditionally the way like it normally would. So you have to like go like this, do some fiddling with it. See, I can't even do it on camera. Oh god, I hate this thing. Just like slide in. And I'm not trying to fuck it up or break it. See, like it just won't go in properly. I think you have to go like this. And then it should slide in normally. So you slide it in through like the skinny part, I think. And then you just kind of make it go in. Oh god. Because they made it look so easy in the promo image. Oh my god, what is going on here? Yeah, look at this, look at this. You have to struggle with this thing. Alright, I'll do it off camera. Alright, I finally got it. I finally got it. There's a specific angle that you have to like insert the menorah into the hand, and I got it. In the final accessory that Demi-fiend comes with is obviously the traditional Figma figure stand. And you know, you just do the usual thing. So you just peg it on like this. It has 3 different points of articulation. And it also comes with the angled peg, just like Raito, and I think Neo came with one too. And then you just plug it into his back. For some reason I was struggling with before. There you go. Connected to his back. And now you can make him look stupid. So there you go. So for accessories, I'll give him... Let me see. Because he only comes with 2 hands, like 4 hands, 2 faces, and then 1 face isn't exclusive. And then 2 big pieces of fire, a sword thing, and a candle. Maybe 7.5 or 8, because I feel like maybe he should come with more like blast effects, because he can learn a ton of different magic attacks and like other types of moves. So it's like, I don't know, like, do you need a whole lot for him, for a guy that just punches people and punches demons? So okay, I'll say like maybe 7.5 to 8. Alright, so what do I think of Demi-fiend, Figma Demi-fiend overall? Overall, I think he's a really great figure. Like, he can pose pretty well. His shoulders aren't completely weird. I did wish he had bicep swivel, but you can get by with what he has. For someone that retails for like $100 fucking, I expect a little bit more quality control on the paint and like better, like, just making sure the paint doesn't rub off on certain parts of the body, and like, just better quality control on the paint overall. His faces are very hard to fucking take off, and like, you're supposed to swap the faces around, so like, how's that part supposed to be enjoyable and easy when like it has like a death grip on the faces? Like, I don't understand that. So that's another negative. Like, paint, the faces being hard to put on. The mechanism for the moving the eyes is kind of annoying because it should be better implemented, but it's just kind of difficult to do. I think I said that on Rido as well. But it is a welcome feature because it makes up for the lack of faces, because you can make his eyes look a bunch of different ways. Because typically figures have the faces like decaled on, like stickers essentially, and they sell you another face which has the eyes looking left or right because they can't just give you eyes that move. His accessories are, I think, a little lacking because he only comes with like the Gaia Rage. Another Gaia Rage, there's no Gaia Rage. He's a little lacking because he only comes with the Magma Axis and Deadly Fury. I think if he came with some kind of like eye effect, like for the Freikugal or something else, it could have really made him like stand out. Or if he came with like a demon or something, like Pixie or a small Jack Frost or some kind of demon to go along with him, because him by himself is kind of, well, it's just him. And also he came with the candle with the menorah, and that's okay. It's not the most detailed thing, but it's fine. His hands, he has like 4 sets of hands, so that's fine. I think he can do all the stuff you want him to do. And he has 2 faces, and then 1 face that's exclusive to the store. So overall, and he can pose pretty well and all that. So I'll give him, I'd say, an 8 overall, because there's some quality control issues. Doesn't feel like he comes with enough accessories, but the stuff he does come with is pretty good. At least they look good. And his design looks fine enough. He's a very simple character. He was a very simple looking character. He just has a really complex like tattoo pattern. He's just a dude with no shirt and pants. And that's it. So let me see. Yeah, overall 8. It's really fun to pose. He looks very accurate to the character, despite some shortcomings, like I mentioned, with the long arms and the weird shoulders and chest not being broad enough, I think. But if you want to get him for $100, be my guest. Get him from the Goodsmile website if he's still available, because that's how I was able to get him, because I didn't pre-order. Or if you can find someone selling him with the bonus face, then go ahead. But please don't try and spend over $100 on this guy, because I don't know, that's kind of overpaying for it. Alright, so I'm not sure what figure I'm going to review next, and that's it. See ya.